I'm Edie Lush, and I'm here in Davos at the Hub Culture studio. I'm delighted to be joined by a repeat guest.
Yes, great to be back.
You weren't scared off the last time.
Great to be back.
Ben Pring, Director of the Cognizant Center for the Future of Work.
That's right.
Now, last year, we were here talking about a book that you wrote, the second best-selling business book in 2017.
That's right, yeah.
What to Do When Machines Do Everything.
That's right.
We've moved on a little bit, actually.
That's right.
And you've come out with some very specific jobs that we can have when the bots move in.
That's right.
Tell me how you got to this place.
Yeah. So last year when we were talking about this book, What to Do When Machines Do Everything. And obviously one of the big themes of Davos last year, this year, certainly our travels all around the world last year promoting our book, was this fear that a lot of people have got that robots, AI, automation, machines are going to take away jobs from people. And we're going to have this sort of jobless future. And it's a very real concern. It's a very real issue. In our book last year, and some people may be familiar with this, we absolutely address this. And in fact, chapter 3 of our book was called There Will Be Blood. The notion of substitution of human labor with software, robotics is a very real thing. And we
just as it was when ferry people, I guess ferrymen they were at the time, got taken over by boats.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, we've seen this many times before, but the fears are very heightened at the moment. So to address that fear, we thought, well, we need to think about the jobs that are coming, because if the machines are powerful enough to take work away, it's logical to imagine that they're powerful to create new jobs. So we wanted to write about these new jobs. So this report, 21 Jobs of the Future, we're promoting here at Davos this year, is really proposing what is this new work, what are these new jobs. And so we've laid out a kind of, in a job description format, all this different type of work that's going to emerge, because we think these are the jobs that HR folks are going to have to recruit for in the future.
And these are the jobs that I should be telling my kids to start thinking about, is that right?
That's right, yeah. You're 17-year-old, you're 15-year-old like me. This, this is the sort of work that's coming. And it ranges from things that are very, very technical, very, very technical. I mean,
like what?
Well, one of them is a quantum machine learning analyst.
Okay.
So as quantum computing becomes more real, becomes more kind of embedded in big IT departments, then figuring out that technology, understanding that technology, being able to apply that technology is going to be a very big thing. But then some of the jobs are completely non-technical, because to imagine that all the jobs in the future, are highly technical and you need a degree in quantum computing, that's probably unrealistic, and lots of people aren't, suited to be able to do that. So one of the non-technical jobs that people seem to like, that we've been talking about, is this notion of a walker-talker. Which is, if you think about it, two of the big trends in society. One is this job issue. What are the jobs? We need jobs for people to be able to do. And then one of the other big trends is isolation amongst seniors. So imagine an Uber-style platform where if you have a spare hour or a spare morning, you could log on to the platform like lots of Uber drivers do to monetize, a spare hour or spare afternoon that they've got. You could log on to the platform, say, I'm available to talk to a senior. And then imagine in the future, push that a little bit further, whereby you could record the conversation through your phone or maybe your smart glasses as they become kind of a real thing. And the artificial intelligence could pass out what the conversation you had with that senior was. And then so the next time somebody else goes and talks to that senior, they get a transcript of the last conversation, or they get prompts. This guy wants to talk about, this, that, and the other. And so there's no strangers in this kind of platform.
You're not starting over.
You're not starting over. So, yeah, that's just a little kind of example.
It could also potentially involve speaking to Rita Singh, who does work with artificial intelligence and the voice.
Yes.
And what she does is figure out potential diseases or potential dementia onset just purely from voice recognition.
Yes.
So you could also be gathering information, presumably with the person's consent, for healthcare.
That's right. No, that's a very good point. Yeah. No, this came out of my own observations in the neighborhood where I live. Where I sort of walk my dog of a morning. I see this old guy. I sometimes think to myself, that might be the only human contact he has in the day.
Right.
So if you could monetize that sort of latent demand for something like that with a platform, an AI-based platform. Again, as I say, it addresses two big themes in society. We think that might be an interesting thing that emerges.
Yeah. Tell me what a chief trust officer is.
Well, one of the big reports that's been released here at Davos this week by Edelman, the PR company, was all about trust, how trust has been abused by politicians, by, dare I say it, the media as well. And
just to be specific, trust in traditional journalism has gone back up, whereas trust in social media and actually people sharing on social media has gone down.
So our job is really at a C-level within a big organization, is somebody to really step forward into this vacuum and to address this challenge and this opportunity. I mean, it's logical to imagine that in the future, we as individual purchasers, we as partners in a sort of business conference like this, make decisions on the trustworthiness of an individual or a corporation. And whilst we sort of thought about that, it hasn't been very systematic historically, previously. So this job is really somebody that takes that on as a very strategic requirement to think about what are all the aspects of the business, how do they all play into the trust score that an organization has. So yeah, that's the thing that I think is going to become more and more important in the future.
We could go on forever. I could just keep picking things. Let me pick up out one more. What's a genetic diversity officer?
Well, I mean, anybody who's following what's going on with CRISPR at the moment, I mean, this is an incredible new thing that we're going to have to grapple with going forward. I mean, companies are spending a lot of time thinking about diversity already. We're going to have to think about diversity when we have gene editing become more and more of a real thing. I mean, are you going to be able to hire superhumans who've been, you know, augmented through a CRISPR-based technology? Already in China, they're beginning to do large-scale trialing of very, very significant augmentation, as you say. So, I mean, we are literally playing God. We're going to have a whole new cadre of the workforce that perhaps have this technology within them, and we're going to have to think about how we handle that. So the diversity is going to expand and increase to the point where we have to sort of think about, well, how do we ensure diversity across the organization? How do we ensure these people are represented or not represented, depending on whatever sort of ethical considerations we need to make?
Gosh, I want to keep going. One more, just one more. A master of edge computing.
Well, again, at Davos, and I think in a lot of technology conferences at the moment, there's this increasing recognition that we're going to need to push intelligence into endpoint devices, that cars, autonomous driving cars, are not going to be able to connect to the cloud at the speed with which they need to make decisions in real life driving situations. So edge computing is really pushing intelligence that's sort of been sucked back up into the cloud in the last 10 years, 20 years, pushing this out to devices. Again, from a technical perspective, managing that, understanding that, optimizing that, that's a big sort of tech-related job that we think is going to become more and more important.
Ben, thank you very much for stepping into my new studio. By the way, what do you think of it?
It's lovely, yes.
Great.
Will you have me back next year?
Yes, I will. I can't wait. Ben Pring, thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you.
And I'm Edie Lush.